I don't need to do this. Totally good where I am. Life's treating me well. But it felt like, and I'm kind of paraphrasing for you, so feel free to correct me if I'm off base, but like, I feel like I remember thinking your desire was almost to do something bigger than yourself, right? That you could just stay in your lane, keep doing what you're doing, but it's that growth mindset that almost doesn't allow people to stay put.
Welcome to The Growth Mindset, the podcast for ambitious real estate and mortgage professionals. Hosted by Adam Crosley and Riddle, this show dives into entrepreneurial strategies, sales techniques, and mindset hacks designed to fuel your career growth. Get ready to learn from top producers, gain actionable insights, and start your journey towards success. Here's your hosts, Adam and Rick.
Hello, everybody. This is Riddle, and you are listening to the Growth Mindset Podcast. I'm here with my, as always, co-host,
Adam Crosley.
And excited to have you guys. We have a new guest this week, Mike Matejka, who's the business development rep at Crown Home Mortgage. Hello, Mike. How are you?
Hey, guys. Doing well. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, thank you for being on. It's kind of like a home game, right? It's like these are basically Zoom meetings that we have internally at work, but we are now broadcasting them to the world. So
That's
no
right.
secrets here.
Love it.
So I was really excited about having Mike on because he has a really interesting story to tell. But here's the best part. While he's in the mortgage business, he's also in the real estate business. He owns a lot of real estate, and he actually is opening up an ice cream parlor, but never was a loan originator. But he has a lot of tips that I think a lot of loan originators, listers can learn from, especially when it comes to business development. So Mike is I'll just tell real quick, he's my right-hand man in the business, does a lot of things in all things business development, recruiting, building realtor relationships. So excited to have you on, Mike.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, brother.
So where do we start?
Yeah. So why don't we do this? I'm a hardball. I'm like Larry King. So tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us your story and your journey of how you got into this business.
All right. I'll try to give you guys the shortened version. We could dig into whatever you want. But Mike Matejka. I didn't grow up expecting to be in the mortgage or real estate business, probably like most people that are here currently. But I'm glad that I'm here. I actually say in hindsight, I kind of wish I knew about this industry really even before going to college, because if I did, I loved college, great experience, thankful I went, but I think I might have made a different choice just to try to get into this business as soon as I possibly could. But like I said, I wasn't always in mortgages. And I grew up in central New Jersey. I'm one of 5 kids, family of 7, and my father was an entrepreneur. So I grew up kind of working in the family business. And I learned pretty quickly that if dad asks, what are you doing this weekend? You better have plans. Otherwise, you're going to be working the warehouse. And so, I think I learned a lot just by absorbing all of that. And I mean, truly working in multiple capacities in his business, from management to data entry to production. I mean, really every facet of the business from the time I was 12 until I was about maybe 22 or 23 years old. And when I graduated college, had about 10 years of experience working with dad. And the next logical progression would have been, an executive level or kind of C-suite position. But I felt at the time that I didn't want to go down that path. And there were 2. One was because I just genuinely felt that although everyone was incredibly respectful and kind to me all the time, I felt like there was going to be a piece of maybe misconstrued nepotism. Right? Like, oh, well, this is Steve's son. That's why he's here. And kind of forgetting that I had worked 10 or 11 years to get to that point. But really, I think the thing that caused me to go down a different path was I decided that I just wanted to try something else. Right? And like sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And at that time, I had gone to school for business management and entrepreneurship. Really loved those classes. Really didn't love all the other classes, but I did great in my core classes. And when I graduated, I had a pretty sharp business mind. I say I was always street smart and kind of good with people. And I just decided at that time in my early 20s that I just wanted to take a chance because if you get it wrong in your early 20s when you're living with mom and dad, it's a little bit easier to recover than if you wait until you're like 30, 40, 50 years of age to take that shot. So what ended up happening after graduating college was a candid conversation with dad. He said, "Hey, what do you want to do?" And I kind of said, "Anything else," And I love my dad. We have an amazing relationship. We live in the same town. We see each other all the time. But I started firing out resumes to basically every kind of sales job that I could find. The enterprise rent-a-car, there was car sales. I'm a car guy. There was all sorts of kind of sales and business management type positions. And to be honest, I don't even know that I was very deliberate. I was just sending out resumes. And I got a call from a small company in Central Jersey in Robbinsville called Deidre Moret. And what Deidre Moret did is they were a recruiting agency. I had no idea I even applied for the job, but I knew I needed a paycheck. So when they called me and offered an interview, I, of course, took it. Apparently, I did fairly well because they brought me back for a second interview. Still needed a job, so I showed up. And fast forward, about a year later, I was the rookie of the year, the top producer in the office, and really got to work. I mean, literally side by side with the CEO, Steve, who had built the business over the last 35 years. And so, Rick, kind of like we collaborate on a daily basis. Imagine me and you, but Mike with no experience at all. and so that was my world for a couple of years. And inevitably, what ended up happening was I bought a rental property. Actually, it was my primary at the time, and converted it to a rental property when I decided I wanted to move closer to family. And it worked. And I was like, I had no idea what I was doing, but I just realized in that moment, I had a 4-bedroom house with 3 friends and me. And when I stepped out and I basically got somebody to take my spot in the home, it just opened up my eyes to this whole new world. Because I realized in that moment that you can really make a career and a living out of investing in real estate. And that was a really kind of pivotal point for me. And I decided then that I wanted to align myself more with real estate and mortgages. And so a couple of years later, I got a call from my mother-in-law, Beth Kerr, and she said, "Mike, I know you do something with recruiting. I know you like houses. I work for a real estate, mortgage, and title company, kind of a holding company that owned all 3 organizations. And we're looking for a director of recruiting. It's in Pennington, where you live. What do you think?" And I took the shot. I said, I loved what I did. I loved being in Philadelphia. I loved the people I worked with, but I just was kind of burned out from an hour-and-a-half commute each way. And decided that I wanted a little bit more time back. So I took the chance, met some really great people at that company. And my first year was really just focused on their real estate organization. We didn't do anything with title or mortgages, but we really buckled down and had 2 focuses. One was building the company, right? Adding new blood and hiring new agents and existing agents and new managers. But the other big focus was really kind of backfilling all of these vacant real estate offices that we had from the 08-09 crash that were just there, right? So we're like, well, we own these buildings. Let's bring some people in. Let's kind of bolster our team. And we added a couple hundred realtors in the first year or 2 and did great. And then we realized there's not as much money in real estate as there is, I should say opportunity in real estate as there is mortgages, and decided to pivot and really focus next on growing their mortgage division. And Rick, that's ultimately how we met, was we just built a relationship. I probably cold called you. I don't remember the first date, if you will, but I'm sure it was on a phone call. And I just remember, we probably had hour plus long conversations on multiple occasions and stayed in touch. And I decided one day that, hey, if you can't beat them, join them. and that's what kind of led us here. So it's been a little bit of a wild ride, especially that transition and kind of getting from where I was to where I am now. But I love it. Super thankful to be here, and everything's worked out better than I could have imagined.
What I think, obviously the growth mindset is about entrepreneurialism, right? And, our podcast is geared specifically in the real estate and mortgage industry, but it's entrepreneurialism as a whole, right? And I honestly don't think there's any more entrepreneurial person or family than your family, right? And I know I've got the opportunity to meet your brother who owns a business, your dad who owned a business, you that run multiple businesses, right? And I think entrepreneurialism is all about taking calculated risks, but taking that jump and taking that thing. And there's a saying that they say the best time to buy a house was 20 years ago. The second best time is right now. And I think about the time to take a shot in entrepreneurialism as a business was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
The second best time is right now, right? And I think about, you took risk when you were living at home and right out of college, but you know what? You took the risk and you continue to take risks. Right. And I think that's where entrepreneurs calculated and strategic risk. But the reality is, if you believe in yourself and you have a plan, it's not really a risk. It's just executing on your vision and your plan and growing along the way. And I think that's where a lot of people growing is getting out of your comfort zone, right? Because if you don't get out of your comfort zone, you'll stop growing, no matter what it is, right? As a loan officer, you have your group of realtors that you do business with, and they're very loyal. And then you wake up one day and realize those 15 realtors that you were doing business with that were very loyal got out of the business, retired, aren't as busy. And now you have 4 people, and you're wondering why your business went down. So you constantly have to get out of your comfort zone and grow and build new relationships and be a people person. And I think about the growth mindset is always reinventing yourself, and I think of Adam, right? And my co-host, right? He was comfortable doing what he was doing for a long time. He said, I want to get out of my comfort zone and grow.
Yeah.
And
Adam, I remember, our first conversations, right? And Rick is a huge piece of that, but it was more visionary, right? I don't need to do this. Totally good where I am. Life's treating me well. But it felt like, and I'm kind of paraphrasing for you, so feel free to correct me if I'm off base, but I feel like I remember thinking your desire was almost to do something bigger than yourself, right? That you could just stay in your lane, keep doing what you're doing, but it's that growth mindset that almost doesn't allow people to stay put. And if you ask my wife, there's probably some downsides, right, to that entrepreneurial mindset and just kind of always being moving and grooving. But it's who I am. And I think all 3 of us share that same DNA.
Both of you, thinking about both of you guys, Mike, you'll call me hey, you know what? I bought an ice cream parlor right down the street from my house. Adam's I found another rental property.
Yeah.
Actually, there's 2 ice cream parlors for sale in my town right now.
Let's do it.
And I'm
Rick buys one, you buy one, and come on.
Cream King 2 and Cream King
North,
3.
But Mike, it's so true. I'm a big believer that you have to have vision. You have to have vision of where you want to go, because I think most people just float through life and they don't ever have that vision, and then they wake up at some point in their 60s or whatever it might be, and they're not happy, and they never had that direction. And and they got to exactly where they wanted to go because they didn't have any game plan to get anywhere else.
Right.
And sometimes that's multi-generational, right? And it's wonderful to see, somebody as young as yourself that's done so much, it bought so much real estate, invested in so much, and has been able to take the right calculated risks to elevate both your life and your career. And I got to imagine coming from an extremely entrepreneurial family like your dad and his business and et cetera. And I want to give you props too because I didn't know the story that you had the ability to kind of move in line to take over a C-suite type position with your dad's company. And just knowing you personally, I got to imagine like you didn't want to ever stand in his shadow, even if that wasn't the case, even though you did work for it. Like I know you to be a guy who has his own vision and cuts his own cloth. And so I think that was amazing of you to be able to have this on a silver platter and take a step back and have a bigger vision for your own life.
Well, thank you, man. And sincerely, like, coming from you and from you, Rick, it carries a lot of weight. So I'm in good company. I appreciate that.
So I want to switch gears a little bit.
Yeah.
Get into some meat, specifically in the mortgage world and how to grow business, because a lot of our viewers our listeners are loan officers, right? And a lot of them are looking to grow their business and hopefully getting tips from the Growth Mindset podcast on how to do that. And I think about you, Mike. Mike doesn't have a mortgage license, does have a real estate license, came on board as a recruiter, and we can talk about recruiting, or maybe I won't even talk about recruiting in this segment. Maybe we'll do another podcast, have you on as we talk about growth, building teams. But you've done an incredible job. I think we now have 5 real estate office plus 400 transaction relationships with real estate brokerages.
Yeah.
So maybe we can share a little bit of if you could spend a couple minutes, you're the one that landed those accounts, right? You landed both those real estate accounts, one in Florida, one in New Jersey. So they're not one out of your market to a degree and one in your market. Talk about how you did that. I mean, if I'm a loan officer and I wanted to learn how to grow my own business, how to get out of my comfort zone and build relationships or build new real estate offices, can you share maybe some secrets?
Yeah, I'll kind of give you the high level overview. But just before I get there, just to preface this, I mean, Rick, I know I've kind of shared this privately with you, but I think it would be impactful for everybody else to kind of know from a financial standpoint how my life changed so dramatically and so quickly. And it's because of what we're going to talk about. And so late 2019, before joining you guys and building Crown, I was in a position where I was just really unhappy and financially struggling. I had gone from a position that was paying me well into the 6 figures with commissions and bonuses and solid income for me and my family to almost $40,000 in credit card debt. I willingly, purposefully took a pay cut from 6 figures down to $12 an hour because we were trying to get the company to turn the corner and become profitable. Otherwise, we were at risk of losing our warehouse lines. So you do what you got to do, right? And so at that point in my life, financially, it was just in ruins. I had just bought my primary residence, my first home with my now wife that I could barely afford on the regular income, right? And then I dropped my income. The first rental property I ever bought was twice over budget and took twice as long. And it just was the perfect storm. And so, when I met you, Rick, I realized that you and I had a very similar background, but 2 totally different worlds. You were a North Jersey, New York guy, and I was a South Jersey and Philly guy in terms of our current network. I knew you grew up in South Jersey. Of course, you're a Phillies fan. But in terms of our network at the time, we came from 2 different areas. And so when we joined forces in 2019, I went from $12 an hour and tremendous amounts of debt to, I think within the first 12 months or the first calendar year, I had surpassed any income that I had previously achieved in my entire career. how I did that is
and we didn't overpay you. I just want to make sure we.
Yeah, no, I mean, we caught lightning in a bottle, and I think we really ran with it. But what we did was just built relationships and really truly tried to add value to people. And and I remember I had this conversation yesterday with a $20+ million realtor in Delaware, and I won't mention his name, but I reached out to him because he was interested in growing his team, and I said, hey, I have a recruiting background. Maybe I can help you with that. And the conversation kind of evolved. And he said, well, Mike, that's great, but like, what do you require from me? Like, what does this cost? I said, nothing. And I literally said to him, I said, listen, of course, I work for a mortgage company, right? We earn revenue when we close mortgages. And so, of course, that's my end goal here. But I just want to be totally transparent and telling you up front that I will never, ever come to you with my hand out and ask for business until I've demonstrated value. And when I approach it transparently like that, I think most people really appreciate it. And then they're not surprised when I ask them for business after I've delivered value. And so, you guys have all heard me say, like, I think of relationships like bank accounts. And in order to take money out of your bank account, right, to take a withdrawal and take something for yourself, you have to first make deposits into that account. If I never make a deposit, there's nothing to take out. And that's the way that I treat relationships. And I think that that's helped us not only build real estate relationships, right, those two huge national affiliates that you're talking about, but I think it's also helped us hire some really great mortgage professionals. I think it helps in every capacity. Just the ability to understand how you can help somebody, and then do it. And I think that's a big piece too, right? And that's like, Adam, I think of you, and you're probably one of the best I've ever seen in terms of your executionables. You say you're going to do something. I can't think of a single time ever where you said you were going to do something and didn't do it.
Well,
and it's not it's not that that's hard, right? Like, very simple. You say you're going to do something, do it. It's not
one of the reasons I tell people I'm going to do things too is so that I earn accountability.
Yeah.
In doing that as well. But Mike, I love your theory, and I just took a quick little field trip over to my bookcase.
Oh, I love that.
Like when I think of you, I think of the go-giver. And for anybody that's and this is actually an autographed copy that you gave to me a long time ago, and I cherish it. That's why it stays here on my office in my office. But brother, you embody this, just like that Delaware agent. He's like asking you what I can do in return, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it's give. It's help other people unconditionally, and givers gain.
If you think you're giving too much, give more.
Yeah, exactly.
Seriously, like, but very seriously. That's real.
It's the law of the harvest. I mean, this is biblical stuff, right? It's the law of the harvest, and we reap what we sow. The reason I believe you've done so well, Mike, is because you give and give and give and give and give and sow and sow and sow and sow. And that's why when it comes harvest time, you have such a bountiful harvest, because you just give so much. And I mean, before when we were in the green room, before we turned this on, like you said I could steal your van and take it on a cross-country road trip. Yeah,
and I'm serious. You can.
I knew you were. Like, that's the wild thing. I mean, like, but that's who you are, Mike. And I mean, I believe that's one of the reasons why you've done so well, is because you give like your life depends on it. And it's amazing. And it's just so cool to see that, brother. Yeah.
And I appreciate that. And there's a counter to that, though, that I think is equally as important. I didn't always feel this way. And it probably wasn't until I aligned myself with Rick and Mark and Bobby and really kind of rebuilt my confidence. But I think that there's a lot of value and a lot of power in believing that what you have to give is valuable. And I think that a lot of people miss that, right? They think that, hey, I'm prospecting for new realtor relationships, I'm bothering these people. Or, hey, I'm following up with my pre-approved and looking clients or my past clients, I'm bothering these people. Well, maybe some people will be bothered. but it's not because of you. It's because of them, right? Maybe they're having a bad day, or maybe just got a rough personality. And if you just believe that you're truly going out into the world to add value and help people, then when somebody tells me no, you know what I think? More times than not, it's too bad for you. And I move on to the next call or the next meeting or the next whatever. And I think that shift in my mindset has made such a huge difference. And I'm not perfect by any means, right? But I think when you have a bad day, it's a lot easier to look back and be like, you know what? I'm doing all the right activities. It's not me, it's them. And that's so powerful, because I think people just get in their own way.
Yeah.
So it's funny. There's, you know me, I'm a quote guy. There's 3 quotes in your just listening to you and having this conversation come to my head. One, Zig Ziglar. And I don't have the quote exactly, but basically he has a quote that says, sales isn't what you do to somebody. Sales is what you do for somebody. Right. And, the thought is to your last comment, right, is like, you know what, I'm going to provide value. I'm going to provide, a service that I really, truly believe in will help you. Right. And, it's not getting the sale. It's about helping somebody with a problem or helping someone with an opportunity. Right. And so I thought that was what was pretty interesting. The first thing. The other thing the other quote that came to my head was another Zig Ziglar quote. If you help them get what they want, you will get what you want. Yeah. Right. Which is totally, the message behind The Go-Giver, which I would highly recommend as a read, is The Go-Giver by Bill Berg, which I will say is the second best read next to Use the Ladder by Rick.
Agreed.
Actually, probably Bill Berg is probably much better read than but
UseTheLadderBook.com is sponsored this episode.
Right. And the third quote is from Carl White, who says, your network is your net worth.
Yeah.
Right. And I think about you, your belief system, and I can paraphrase all 3 quotes into the Mike Matejka, conversation is believe in what you're doing, that you're helping people, yep. Right? Which you do. You give unconditionally, albeit there is a condition, right? You want to get something in return, but give unconditionally. Help them get what they want, knowing with full confidence you'll get what you want, and do that, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, and build this huge, massive network. And that's what's funny when you said in the story, we kind of looked at our networks, right? And you had a network in you went to like a planet or something.
Not sure why I'm purple all of a sudden, but hey, here we are.
That's all right. You're infrared. We turned that on to see if you're lying, and you're not lying because it's all purple. There you go. Well, maybe you are lying now. It's no longer purple. But we joined forces because your network was different than my network.
Yeah.
Right. And when I wanted to grow, and in that growth mindset, it's okay to build allegiances and alliances and relationships with people that can help you get what you want, right? So I looked at it as, hey, here's Mike Matejka, and the same thing with Adam, right? Is that we looked at our, as we're growing on this journey at the same company together, I couldn't get to where I wanted to go as a company without you two.
Yeah.
Right? Because you guys do things that I dream of doing. Right, like Adam, your skill set of coaching and helping people is unbelievable, right, and better than what I could do. And Mike, you're the network that you have, and I couldn't do it alone, right? Yeah. So you come and say, here's my network, and we all have the same vision. We all our ethics align, our work ethics align, our treating people the way we want, that they want to be treated is aligned. So that was made a perfect synergy between the 3 of us. But I think that I think of those 3 kind of quotes in my head, and that encapsulates, is that a word? Yeah. It can't be any less of a word than executionables. By the way, thank you, Mike, for using that. That word is in the Use the Ladder, by the way. It is a fake word, but we're doing everything we can to make executionable a real word. But look, I think the world of you, and I think that I've never seen anybody that's never done a mortgage do so well at building realtor business. I wouldn't say you're the best at because we have some superstars that do it, but you're right up there.
Yeah.
That
Listen, I'm just honored to be included in the conversation. Seriously. And I do think that it's unique, but we could do this in any industry. And you guys know I'm the last person to pat myself on the back, right? I'm going to do it a little bit today because that's the purpose of these podcasts, is to kind of share and help others follow similar paths. But, when we talk about other industries, it's like, you guys both know I picked up my real estate license a year and a half ago. My first full year in real estate, I closed 16 transactions. I made over $200,000 as a part-time job. The reason I was able to do that was because of my network, because those people already trusted me for mortgages, for financing advice, for a lot of times real estate advice that I was helping with anyway, but not getting paid for it. Right. And so I think that part of the beauty of what I'm really deliberately trying to build into my life is this environment where I'm not a mortgage professional. I'm not a real estate professional. I'm a whatever you need, anytime, any day professional, right? Where somebody comes to me because they need something and they trust me and they value my opinion. And if I can't help them personally, I can refer them to an affiliate or a business partner who can help them personally. And that's also how the ice cream parlor came into play, right? Is because I already have a reputation here and people trust me and know me, we're now thinking of like, okay, let's go buy small businesses in town because we have a good name and good recognition and branding, and people want to be a part of the things that we're doing. And so whether it's real estate, ice cream, mortgages, or some other venture that I decide I want to get involved in, I think I've got a huge leg up on everybody else because I've already got the network. And so that's the piece that I would stress the most to somebody that's just getting started or somebody that's rebranding themselves is, to all of our points, go add value to people, build your network, stop selling, stop telling them you're better than the other person. It's not about that. They only care about that stuff once they know you, once they like you, once they trust you. So just go help. And I'll be the first one to say, like, if you're a mortgage professional and you've got a client that needs help moving their couch, go move their couch. Like, it's not about DTIs and guidelines and, oh, I know this product or program. I probably shouldn't admit this out loud, but I don't know most of the guidelines for most of our programs. And it doesn't matter because that's not where I add value. And so I think that's probably a lot to digest, right? But that would be like my takeaway for somebody is just build relationships. And if you do that effectively, then there's other team members that can support you kind of along your journey to greatness. It's worked in spades for me.
I love that. I love that, Mike. I think that's powerful.
Yes.
You're a great guy, man. I appreciate you.
Well, thank you. I'm surrounded by great people. Adam, how many times have we had just, candid conversations that may have dabbled into work, but like veered off into things that have nothing to do with real estate and mortgages and,
Exactly.
Being surrounded by guys and gals that are cut from the same cloth and just working towards something that's bigger than themselves. Like, that's the stuff that keeps me motivated. But I think that sometimes people overcomplicate our business. We're in a people business. It's pretty simple. Go build relationships, be friendly, be helpful, add value. And if you do that effectively, then people will want to be around you and they'll recommend you to their friends and their family. And, it's hard work. It doesn't happen overnight, but eventually that dam will break. And, just yesterday, I literally went on 2 listing appointments where people called me for real estate. I'm like, this is fantastic. I don't even know these people. Right. And so if you do it effectively at a pretty high level with a lot of consistency, the dam will break. That's it.
it's the epitome of sales, right? Like I think about our industry, right? The mortgage industry, right? We sell debt for a living. There's nothing sexy about it. There's nothing. I mean, at the end of the day, every mortgage company has the same rate. They have the same product. They have the same service. They have the same, right? Like, it's all the same.
Yeah.
Right? Pretty much. Yeah. I can get an eighth cheaper over here. I can, if you're a loan up, maybe I can make 50 basis points over here more. It's all the same. If you really want to grow your business, it's the relationship. And that I will tell you, that's the only thing that will keep us as loan officers growing in this business is relationship.
Well,
because if we rely on the lowest price, the fastest service, then we might as well fold it up and be Amazon.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I firmly believe that that's what, giving to our customers, giving to our referral partners, being solutions to whatever their needs are, helping them grow, that will help in turn us grow.
Yeah.
Company as an industry. So I love it, and I appreciate you sharing on this podcast. I've always thought the world of you. I'm so happy to have you on. I feel like I think this is episode 19 if I'm not mistaken. So happy to have you on, and we'll have to have you on again as we literally talk about real estate investment, because I think that's another story to tell. But just from
a whole other topic there,
yeah, business development and relationships and there was a quote I was going to bring from this book, by the way. Use the ladder, 16 quotes of wisdom to help you dominate mortgage sales. Use the ladder 10 for a 10% discount. Go to usetheladderbook.com. I always like to have a quote of the week in our podcast. The quote of the week that comes from this book, I was going to have. I've never shaken hands with an email. Which really meant, and me and Mike were talking about in the green room about building relationship. It's not a CRM. It's not sending an email blast. It's about building real life, meaningful relationships. So I thought that was what that really went for this this segment and this guest, Mike, because you are all about building relationships. It's not about the CRM you use, the email you send, the fact sheet, the spreadsheet, the cute marketing. It's about helping people, right? And
yeah, I mean, listen, there's a reason why I went out and I bought the fancy van, right, to provide a better experience, to quote unquote wine and dine, right, is to provide value for people, and to think outside the box, right? Like Rick, the Nerds, the band, the Nerds. Like, I took a huge real estate group to a cover band to see him play at a local bar. That gets you way further than posting a flyer on your social media. So
build relationships, be a giver, your network will grow, and then your net worth will grow. So, Adam, any closing comments?
No, just givers gain, man. You give it all away, and care. And it's amazing to know you, Mike, and over these last 3 years to really get to know you at a deep level. And dude, I just love watching you grow and watching you blossom. So thank you for coming on the show today. We greatly appreciate you. Thank you for all of our listeners for tuning in for another week here of the Growth Mindset podcast. And if there's nothing else, take it away, Eric.
The only thing I'm going to do real quick is if you go to New Jersey, to Pennington, New Jersey, to Cream King, and
I appreciate you.
And you say
Yes.
the Growth Mindset podcast sent me, ice cream's on me. Mike, I'll run a tab. So,
Fair enough.
Growth Mindset podcast, you got to name drop that I heard about it on the Growth Mindset podcast in Pennington, New Jersey, and I'm buying your ice cream cone. Just your cone, though. I'm not buying your hot dog.
No Sundays, just
No Sundays. Just a single serve kids cup waffle cone. No Jimmy's or sprinkles. I don't know what you call them in your part of the country, but we call them Jimmy's down in Philly. So So thank you all for joining. Till next time, we'll see if this podcast has ended. Eric, give us the legal stuff.
You've been listening to The Growth Mindset, hosted by Adam Crosley and Rick Riddle. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with your colleagues. Stay tuned for more actionable insights to fuel your career success. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are personal and do not necessarily reflect the official policies, positions, or opinions of Absolute Home Mortgage Corporation or Crown Home Mortgage. The content is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered professional advice or an official endorsement by either organization.